Hello everyone and welcome back to the IS Network lecture series on attempting case studies for mains 2020. So as promised in the last lecture, we'll discuss some UPSC asked case studies in these lecture series. So I'm beginning with a case which was asked in the initial years of UPSC, that is 2013, when the ethics paper was introduced. So I'll take you through the questions as well as the approach to attempt this question. So let's begin with this lecture. So as you can see that the information given in the case study you can read on your own as well, and I will explain also through the example that what is the subject matter of the case study. So the subject matter of the case study is that that is a public information officer, has received an application under RTI Act. So as you are aware that the RTI Act was introduced in the year 2005 in order to usher the era of transparency into the system. And having gathered the information, the PIO discovers that the information pertains to some of the decisions taken by him, which are found to be not altogether right. So basically, he is collecting the information, an RTI application has been filed where the information the person is seeking pertains to the PIO himself and is regarding a decision taken by him in the past, which was not 100% correct. So there were other employees also who were party to those decisions. So basically it was not a single person decision. There were multiple stakeholders involved in that taking that decision, and the RTI application is regarding that decision. Disclosure of the information is likely to lead to a disciplinary action with possibility of punishment against him as well as some of his colleagues. So basically there are certain consequences attached to the information you are divulging. Similarly, the non-disclosure or part disclosure or camouflage disclosure of information will result in lesser punishment or no punishment. So basically the case study is trying to give you the outcomes for the two scenarios where either you give whole of the information as it is, then there would be some discipline, there is a possibility of disciplinary action against you. Similarly, if you deny the information or try to give some subverted or camouflage kind of information, there is a possibility that you might be spared and the punishment could be avoided. So this is the case study is trying to show you that there are certain stakes to your decision. It's not a very clear kind of a decision or where you have nothing at stake. There are parameters, there are certain your well-being, other things are at stake of that decision. So the PIO is otherwise an honest and conscientious person, but this particular decision on which the RTI application has been filed turned out to be wrong. So earlier, so your image as an officer is very honest, you are very disciplined, meticulous in your work. However, you took that decision in the past which turned out to be wrong. He comes to you for his advice. So basically the PIO officer has come to you as an advice. You are not a stakeholder in this question. You are basically, you can understand as a friend of the PIO. So PIO has come to you in order to seek your advice. Now this is the premise that has been set up by the case study. So the following are some of the suggested options. You need to evaluate these options. So read the instructions very carefully. So the options are already given to you. So you need to evaluate these options in order to come with the merits and demerits of each of the option. So the PIO, so the first option is the PIO should refer the matter to his superior officer and seek his advice and act strictly in accordance with the advice, even though he is not completely in agreement with the advice. So it's basically saying that you should shift the decision making role to the superior and basically go with the advice of the superior, irrespective of what the advice is, be it in your favor or be it against you. The second option, the PIO should proceed on leave and leave the matter to be dealt by his successor in office or request the transfer of the case to another PIO, right? Similarly, the third option is basically PIO should weight the consequences of disclosure the information truthfully, including the effect on his career. Reply in an answer would place him or his career in jeopardy, but at the same time a little compromise can be made on the contents of the information. So basically it's saying that you should weigh out the consequences and basically then decide that whether you want to make some compromise on the content of the information or not. Similarly, the last option is that the PIO should consult his other colleagues who were party into the taking of that decision and take the action as per their advice. Now These are the four options available to you. You have to evaluate the merits and demerits of each of these options. Also, please indicate with necessary restriction, without necessary restricting to these above options, what you would like to advise given proper reason. So you have to advise this PIO that which of these four options you want him to take, or you can even go beyond these options if you want, and you have to reason out your argument. Why are you giving a particular advice to him? So with this, we have understood the premise of the case and what is being asked in the case. So now let's try and look how to solve this question. So in order to solve a case study, you need to first of all identify what is the subject matter of the case study. That is the primary motive, or if you are able to decipher the basic objective of the case study or the basic issue in the case study, you are 50% your case study is solved, because now you have to go about solving the case study. If you are able to identify the main theme of the case study, that solves more than 50% of your answer, because rest everything is contingent on finding the key issue in the case study. So so as a GS answer, there are basically three parts of solving a case study: introduction, followed by a body, and a conclusion. So the same mechanism is followed even in the case study kind of a question. Now your body is clear, that in which you have to write the merit and demerits of options that are given to you. Conclusion should be the decision you will take along with its justification, overarching justification. Reason being, because the merits and demerits you have already told. So you have to give some overarching justification for your action. So basically some ethical dimension, why you are taking, not just based on the pros and cons of that decision. You have to give some ethical dimension over here. So this is a chance to basically depict to the examiner that you have an ethical understanding, that you have understanding of the basic concepts of ethics. So this is a place where you can you can take a moral high ground, where you can depict your knowledge as well as deal with that situation. Introduction could basically point to the main issue of the case. Or it can give some general insight into the situation. It could even be basically stakeholders or the values at conflict. So this should basically give a premise into the case. So you can either introduce by quoting the main issue in the case, or the general insights which are present in the case, give them various stakeholders involved in the case. So it's not necessary that your introduction should have all of these. These are the multiple ways in which you can introduce a case study. So now let's begin with the solution of this particular case study. Now as you can see that the primary character involved is the PIO, and he is heading a case or replying to a request of a applicant which has the PIO itself as an actor. So if you have studied that, it is almost like saying that he is a judge in his own case. So basically this is going against the principle of natural justice. Or you can say that it is a classical case of conflict of interest. So this is the primary theme of the case study. So you can very easily introduce this case as saying that it is a classical case of conflict of interest, which is actual conflict of interest as well as a perceived conflict of interest. Perceived in the sense that even if the PIO gives all the information rightly as it is supposed to be given, but even then it could be doubted by the people that the information is not complete. There is some voluntary hiding of some information or camouflaging of some information. So that is perceived conflict of interest. As we say that Caesar's wife should be above suspicion. So you can very easily introduce this case by saying that it is a classical case of conflict of interest which a lot of public civil servants face in their day-to-day life in terms of their professional work, where they are heading a lot of positions in which some or the other party of their knowns could be involved. So this is a classical case of a conflict of interest. Similarly, you can indicate that which are the various values at conflict. So you can point out at values at conflict. So the values at conflict in this case would be your integrity versus your personal well-being. Because if you divulge the information, it is very much possible that you would be punished. So your personal well-being is compromised. So, however, if you are not divulging the information correctly, it is raising questions on your personal integrity. Similarly, means are in conflict with the ends. You want a good life for yourself. You want the information to be divulged, or you want a peaceful life, but the means how to attain that by not divulging the correct information are not the correct ones. So the means are in conflict with the ends. Similarly, your duty as a PIO is in conflict with the moral responsibility of a civil servant. Or you can say that even you can have a conflict between pragmatism, that is, versus idealism. Idealism would be that you are giving all the information in the exact sense. Pragmatism could be if the information is not hurting someone, you can camouflage it or something of that sort. So these are the various values at conflict. So this could very easily form your whole introduction, that you can introduce that it is classical case of your conflict of interest, and you can give various values at conflict in the case. Now you should move towards the body of the case. So body of the case says that you need to evaluate the 4 options. So you need not write the whole options again and again. So you can very easily say that option A, approach senior. So you can write the merits here, demerits on the other side. So the merits of the case would be that your senior obviously has much more experience than you, so his experience can come in handy. He can guide you into what is the right way to deal with this kind of situation. Similarly, you can get institutional support. Institutional support in the sense that your whole department would come to support you because you are taking the official routes. If you have not done anything wrong in the past and it was a genuine mistake, your department would be standing beside you. It even adds legitimacy to your decision, because it is being taken, the decision is being taken by a credible authority, a higher authority. Similarly, you are relieved by the pressure of taking the decision, or you are relieved from the conflict of interest because you are not actively taking the decision, so which is you are not being the judge in your own case. So you have tried to reduce the conflict of interest in this case. However, what does it actually indicate? It indicates the demerits would be that you have a escapist attitude. You are trying to avoid the situation. You are trying to shift the responsibility of taking the decision into someone else's hands. So you are not courageous enough or bold enough to take the decisions on your own. Similarly, it indicates that you have lack of intellectual autonomy. You are not taking your own decisions. You are not capable of taking your own decisions. Similarly, even if the decision is taken by your senior, the responsibility would always be remained with you, because it is the you are the PIU. So ultimately, the responsibility of the decision or any repercussions that follow is still upon you. The decision might be of your senior, you might be agreeing with him, but finally, on the paper, it's the decision of yours. And as it's given in the option that you might not be agreeing with your seniors, still you will go with the decision. So it can lead to a crisis of conscience. So these are some of the merits and demerits of approaching your senior. Similarly, option B, leave/transfer the case. The option has multiple benefits, merits as well as demerits, where you can say that it would resolve the conflict of interest, because you are now not being the judge in your own case. Principles of natural justice would be upheld. You can ensure that an unbiased inquiry is done. However, there are some issues related with this as well. One of the issue would be you lose control of the case. If you and your partners in the decision are punished, it might lead to severing of the relationships you have with them. And it might even lead to punishment, because the other person might not understand that you had taken the decision in the right faith. However, it turned out to be wrong. So it is a case of a genuine mistake which might not be understood by the other party who is being the judge in your case. So these are the merits and demerits of the second option. Now look at the option 3 or option C, which says that you can disguise the information. You can camouflage the information. So this option might appear to be correct in the first go, because in this it appears that everyone is happy in the short term. So everyone appears to be happy in the short term. Your relations with the colleagues would remain same or improve. Similarly, as it is said that ethics applies to voluntary decisions or voluntary human action, and as it is given that it was an unintended mistake, so it goes with the philosophy that ethics should be applied only to the voluntary human action. So it is all right to be unpunished for an action that you did not take intendedly. But there are certain demerits to even this option, which says that if you are disguising the information, or it is basically going against the spirit of the RTI itself. The RTI Act envisages that you should divulge the information as it is. If you try to camouflage it, then it puts into question the sanctity of the information itself. And it might lead to a domino effect. You can apply the Kantian universal principle over here. Which says that if everyone does the same thing, if each and every person in the society starts doing the same thing, what would be the result of that action? So if every PIO starts camouflaging the information to his own discretion, then it would essentially lead to collapsing of the law itself. Then the sanctity of the information being diverged in the form of an RTI application would not be trustable. So these are the demerits of the option C. Then comes to the option D, which says that seek advice of the colleagues. So basically this is very similar to the option A, which said that you should seek the advice of the senior. So you can pretty much use the similar points. However, the colleagues might not have more experience than you. Yes, it would bring some cohesion into the decision making. It would bring more point of views into the question. Institutional support unity might be there. You might be relieved to some extent from your conflict of interest because you are taking multiple opinions into consideration. However, demerit would again be that it shows your escapist attitude, your lack of intellectual autonomy. Responsibility would again be with you. Reason being that you are the final authority who has to take the decision, irrespective of what the advice of the other persons are. So you can use the similar points in point D. So now this is the core part of your body. Now comes your conclusion. How to conclude this kind of a case study and what decision you should take. As we saw that option B is the most appropriate, which says that you would leave the case or ask for transfer of the case to another PIO. Because in this you are very categorically resolving the conflict of interest. However, now comes so this was already given in your body itself. Now you need to take a moral high ground. You need to give the justification of this kind of an answer through ethical standing. So, and you can give some more suggestions in order to make your solution more comprehensive. So you can say that I would make or you are not the PIO, you have to suggest. So you can say that the PIO can make a report to his seniors indicating in what circumstances he took the decision. Decision was taken and raising his point of view that it was a bona fide error. So the intention wasn't to make the error. It was not an intentional error. It happened to that the decision went wrong. So you can very easily claim your side of the story and explain to the seniors. So it gives you, now you can say, this also goes with the philosophy of moral responsibility. You being in a position of authority, you being at a responsible position, it is incumbent upon you that you take the responsibility of your actions. So you can even give the example of our former Prime Minister, Mr. Lal Bahadur Shastri, who basically resigned from the post of the railway minister on the account of taking the moral responsibility for a railway accident. However, he was not directly implicated into that accident, but he took, as being in a position of authority, he took it upon himself the moral responsibility of that incident and resigned from the post. So you can take the moral high ground in these kind of case. So you will conclude with the saying that you will leave the case and choose the option B. You will indicate that through a report that it was a case of a bona fide error, and you would leave the final decision on the another PIO. Similarly, you will take the moral responsibility, like various numerous ethical persons in our past have done it. And you can even end with a quote of justice should not only be done, but also appear to be done. So that would be your concluding line for the essay. So this would give you for the case study. So this would give a holistic view of the case study to the examiner. So through this, we have discussed one of the case study being asked in the UPSC paper 2013. I hope this would have given you some idea into how to attempt a case study. Through the next lectures, we'll discuss more of these case study. I will try to include at least one case study from each year of UPSC paper to give you a better understanding. Thank you and meet you in the next lecture.